Imagine waking up in October of 2026 and hearing this announcement: Alberta is now an independent country. And then right after that, everyone who is not a Canadian citizen must reapply to stay. Permanent residents, international students, work permit holders, and refugees. All of them must prove their right to remain in Alberta. Their future determined by English tests, medical exams, background checks, and whether their skills are considered useful in Alberta. For some people, that sounds like immigration reform. For others, it sounds like mass uncertainty for hundreds of thousands of people who already live here. Today we're diving into the controversial vision promoted by the Alberta Prosperity Project and the Stay Free Alberta campaign. And the question at the center of it all is simple: who gets to belong in an independent Alberta? Let me tell you about a very common story in Alberta. Picture a nurse who moved here from the Philippines or India or Africa. She studied English, passed immigration requirements, worked night shifts during COVID, pays taxes, raises kids here. Under Canada's system, she's on a path toward permanent residency and citizenship. But under some proposals connected to a sovereign Alberta immigration system, people who arrived under previous federal policies may need to requalify for residency. That means someone who already built their life here could suddenly face a new question: do you still qualify to stay? For critics, that's not immigration reform. That's rewriting the social contract for people who already call Alberta home. Supporters of the Alberta Prosperity Project argue independence would allow Alberta to control immigration the same way countries do. Their proposed system focuses on merit-based immigration, language proficiency, economic contribution, security, and health screening. They also envision a potential reapplication process affecting people admitted under previous federal immigration rules. One planning document even estimated that 150,000 to 190,000 people could be required to reapply under a new immigration framework. Supporters say this would ensure immigration aligns with Alberta's economic needs. Critics say something very different. They say this effectively turns existing residents into applicants again. To understand why this debate is so big, you need to look at Alberta's demographics. Alberta is one of the fastest-growing regions in North America. In 2023 to 2024 alone, Alberta welcomed 145,395 international migrants. That includes immigrants, international students, temporary foreign workers, and refugees. During that same year, Alberta received over 60,000 new permanent residents, the highest on record. And according to census data, 23% of Alberta's population is foreign-born. That means roughly 1 in 4 people in Alberta moved here from another country. Immigration isn't a small factor in Alberta's growth. It's one of the main engines driving it, and the Alberta Prosperity Project wants to test that system. Here's where things get complicated. Because Alberta's political messaging around immigration sends two very different signals. On one side, the province actively recruits newcomers. Campaigns like Alberta is calling invite workers across Canada and around the world to move here. Industries rely on immigration for healthcare workers, construction workers, energy sector talent, agriculture, and food processing. But at the same time, immigration is frequently blamed for pressures on housing, healthcare, and social infrastructure. In fact, Alberta officials have even called for national immigration caps, arguing that population growth is straining services. So the message can feel contradictory. Come to Alberta. But also, immigration is the problem. There's another major issue tied to Alberta independence that doesn't get talked about enough: treaty rights. Canada's Constitution recognizes Indigenous rights under Section 35. And many First Nations leaders have made something very clear: the treaties they signed were not with the province of Alberta. They were with the Crown. That means any attempt to create an independent Alberta raises major legal questions. Would treaties still apply? Would Indigenous nations need to consent? Many Indigenous leaders say they were not meaningfully consulted in discussions about Alberta separation. Some have warned that if treaty rights are ignored, large portions of Alberta's land would be legally contested. For critics, that makes the independence movement not just controversial, but potentially a constitutional crisis. Another strange twist in this story is the influence of American politics. Within parts of the independence movement, you'll often hear references to the United States. Some supporters openly talk about Alberta becoming the 51st state. Others admire American-style immigration enforcement policies. Systems like rapid deportations, aggressive border enforcement, and agencies similar to ICE. Now, not every independent supporter believes this. But the rhetoric appears often enough to raise an uncomfortable question. Is the vision for Alberta independence moving toward a Canadian model of immigration or an American one? If you're a Canadian citizen watching this, you might think, this doesn't affect me. But look around your life. Your doctor might be an immigrant. Your coworker might be on a work permit. Your child's teacher might be a permanent resident. Your neighbor might be an international student. Alberta's economy is deeply connected to the people who came here from somewhere else. If a future policy suddenly forced them to reapply for the right to stay, the impact wouldn't just affect them. It would affect hospitals, businesses, universities, and entire communities. Because Alberta wasn't built by one group of people. It was built by waves of newcomers and Indigenous nations over generations. The debate about Alberta independence is often framed as a fight over taxes or federal power. But underneath it lies a deeper question. Who gets to belong here? Is Alberta a place where people who build their lives here can feel secure about their future? Or a place where political change could suddenly put that future into question? Whatever your opinion on independence, immigration, or federal politics, one thing is certain. The decisions being discussed today could reshape the lives of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people already living in Alberta. And that's why this debate matters. Not just for immigrants, not just for Indigenous nations, but for every person who calls Alberta home. Please let us know what you think about the Alberta Prosperity Project's plans to deport immigrants or force them to be subject to re-evaluation in order for them to qualify to stay in future Alberta. I will see you in the next video.